What's up, snake fans? Dave Palumbo here for Muscle Serpents Daily, and you know what we're going to do today? A lot of people have asked me and requested that I talk about how to breed Burmese pythons. I haven't paired up my Burms yet. I was going to do it this week, so you know what? Here's a perfect opportunity. I'm going to tell you guys what I do, how I set my temperatures, what I've done to have success in breeding Burmese pythons, and what you guys might try if you guys want to get into breeding them. I'm just crazy passionate about the Burmese Python. I just love it. I love the whole pie project that I'm involved with. I love the champagne project. The caramels are great. I love a big snake that's easy to handle, that is puppy dog tame in most cases. And I've had a really good experience. My snakes are really, really handleable, and they're social, and they like to come out. And it's like I said, who doesn't like a huge, big snake? I mean, they're amazing. And the colored palette that's out there now is just amazing. And that hopefully this year I'm going to produce some visual pieds that are going to be het albino. So if you guys are interested, they're going to be available. I do still have some Burmese pythons available. Maybe I'll show you a little preview again from 2020. I got a couple left still. If you guys are interested, some really nice hypo granites. I have a green granite, and I have a granite. So if you guys are interested, once again, I have a bunch of those available. But we're going to go into the snake room now, and we're going to look at the different parameters you can set up to maximize your opportunity and success with breeding Burmese pythons. All right, the reason I'm showing you this door open here is for a very important reason, not because I want to show you the big Muscle Serpents University banner sign I have on the wall, which is cool in its own right, but this is my snake room 2, which is where my big snakes are, my boas, carpets, and Burmese pythons, and we'll see those in a minute. They're in the big vision cages over there. This is snake room number 1, which is just being developed. This is going to become my Australian snake room. It's the temperatures in here stay colder because I got my thermostat for my air conditioner in here. And so this is going to be my cold room. I have a bunch of vision cages coming. We're going to get rid of all this garbage and move it over. And we're going to make this a really nice looking Australian python room. But when I open this door, okay, and it lets the warm air from those two, snake room 2 and 3, into this room, this thermostat kicks on and we get more air conditioning. And that means that these rooms start to get much cooler. When I keep that door closed, these rooms stay warmer and only the room 1 is cool. So now that we're getting into breeding season, into the heart of it, I have all my boas paired up already. My ball pythons are paired, the Burms and my carpets too. The Burms are the last to go. So what I do is around this time of the year, when we're getting around Thanksgiving, I stop feeding. So my Burms got their last meal last week. I'm not going to be feeding them anymore. I think they're big enough. Here's my albino het pied female right there. And in this cage is her sister. And so they had some nice big meals. I don't feed my Burms rabbits like some people do. I just think that they're too big. I'd rather give them two rats. I just think they digest them better, and I don't like all that stuff just laying in there. Here you can see my carpet pythons starting to get a little frisky with each other. That's good, because I hadn't seen any behavior. Here's some more carpet python behavior. I don't necessarily know if I don't see a lock necessarily, but they're at least being social with each other. Oh, there's a lock. That's a nice lock too. That's caramel double het snow to caramel double het snow. Oof. Like to see that. Anyway, so the Burms are ready. Here's my pied male. Hopefully he's ready to go. He just shed. Ooh, dirty cage outside. So he's ready to go. We're gonna get him and put him in with one of his little girls and hopefully produce some pies. So my carpet pythons, my olive python male is looking frisky. Looks like he wants to breed. There's my female. They're gonna be going in the other room when the new vision cages come, and we're going to cool them down. But here's our Burms. Now the Burms, once again, because the temperature's down to here is now it's around 75 in this room. What I do is I drop my room temperatures, okay, so that it's cooler, but I don't take away my hot spots. So my hot spots are still at about 88 degrees. Now, this female ate, a couple days ago, so she's still digesting. But you can tell, look at this female down here. she's not really, she just pooped, but she's not really on the hotspot very much, because I think she's feeling that the breeding season's coming. These snakes will thermoregulate if you have a big enough cage for them, and that's the key. They will know, okay, I got to cool down now because I want to develop follicles. And once you put the male with the female and they start locking, that's going to obviously push them even further into their breeding cycle. The key, however, in my mind, is the ambient room temperature. Drop that, keep your hot spot so you don't get respiratory infections. These snakes will thermoregulate the way they want. If they need to get a hot spot and they need to warm up and they feel a little chilly, they can do that so they're not going to get sick. And if they want to cool down, they go on the other side of the cage and they cool down. That's the advantage of having a big cage. If you have them in too small of an enclosure, they can't escape that hot spot. Once again, with ball pythons, I learned my lesson. When I started dropping those hot spots at night, they would get in respiratory. Not a lot of them, but enough that it was annoying. And, sometimes the best girls, get respiratory, and that kills the whole season for them. So we just don't want to do that. It's just, to me, it's not something that I want to get involved with, dealing with respiratory. I don't really light cycle. I wish I had a window here. Now I have these lights that kind of go on and off. These are my blue tongue skink lights, basking lights. So they do provide somewhat of a light cycle. I don't cycle. Look, sometimes I'm in here at 2 a.m. so I'm turning lights on. So obviously they're not getting a real light cycle, but I don't see that as a necessary, at least not for the Burmese pythons or the ball pythons or the boas. Don't seem to really need the light cycling, and they breed fine. To me, the main trigger is the temperature drop. And they know, these snakes know. When we had a little hurricane come through here the other day, and man, there was a ton of breeding behavior going on. I almost wish I had put the Burms together, but you know what? They're going to breed. I know they will. They do every year. I'm not concerned. These two sisters, however, this is their first time. And then I have my hypo granite female who's giving me 2 nice clutches in a row the last 2 years. So she's going to go again this year, I'm sure. And I still have some of her babies left from last year. So if you guys are interested in any 2020s, she's a sweetheart. So that's what we do. All right, look who we got here. My beautiful pied Burmese Python. This boy is going to be doing some breeding. We're going to be putting him in with one of the females in a few minutes. I wanted to bring him outside here just so you can see what a beautiful boy he is here in this gorgeous sunlight we have out here today here in South Florida. Look at this bottom of this guy. He's all white. He is just a gorgeous, gorgeous little boy. And look at that beautiful face. Only a face a mother could love, right? But he's blowing air today for some reason. I don't know why. What's the matter with you? You're frisky? You want to get in with the girls? I don't blame you. You got 2 beautiful girls you're going to be breeding this year, hopefully, for me. And, when I first got him, he was a little jumpy. And, people don't understand, when you breed Burms or you have Burms, especially the babies, they're a little flighty. When they're born, they're nervous. They're nippers. Obviously, it doesn't hurt. I get bit a million times with the little babies. And as soon as you start handling them on a regular basis, they calm down. And even if you don't, I found with the adult Burms, with these bigger Burms, even if you don't handle them all the time, a lot of people think you have to handle them every single day. That's just not the case. You have to handle them, once or twice a week, and just take them out and have human contact. I do the stick training like most people do. I have my snake stick, and before I grab them, I always kind of pat them on the head and let them know, okay, we're not eating right now. We're gonna take you out. And once I calm them down that way, then I pull them out with the stick. And they're usually fine. And they'll blow air for a couple of minutes and try to let you know, hey, I'm a tough guy. And then eventually they just kind of give up on the blowing the air and they kind of calm down and say, okay, all right, this is fun. You're right. I'm actually glad I'm out of my cage and I can move around and do some exercise here. But I keep my Burms in very big cages because I think movement and exercise is important for these animals because they can be prone to respiratory tract infections when they get older. A lot of people have big adult Burms and they get a lot of respiratories and that's how they die. I don't ever, like I said, I very rarely ever feed my Burms more than a jumbo rat. And It seems there's never really, I never even see a bulge in the adults. That's how these things go down. And they seem to be fine. They breed every year. They're not super huge, which I really don't want a super huge Burm, even though it would be kind of cool and I'd probably get more hits on YouTube from it. I really just don't want, a 20-foot snake in my house, not that it would take that, it wouldn't happen that quickly. But I find that the smaller ones, especially males, this is a nice muscular male. He's not obese. He doesn't overeat. He's a perfect size for breeding. He can handle a bigger girl. But this is, to me, a healthier male. It's like people, look, this is what I do for a living. I write diets for people, get them in shape. People that stay leaner, throughout their entire life tend to do better and live longer and have less disease. And that's just the case. Fat people don't live. You don't see any 400-pound, 80-year-old people walking around. It just doesn't happen. They don't last. They don't live. So we want to keep our snakes nice and mean and lean, and they'll breed better and they'll live a healthier life. And once again, because of the Burms, you want to give them some room. You can't put them jam them in a really small cage. When they're smaller, when they're babies, that's fine. They actually like, I think, the confines of a smaller cage. But once they get to this type of, they got to be able to move around. And I think for breeding purposes, it's important that they be able to move around too, and thermoregulate, as I said. So, all right, we're going to put this boy in with one of those girls, and we're going to leave them alone. And really, that's really it. So what I did was I dropped the temps for the last 3 weeks or so. We're in the high 70s. It varies. Some days it's 75, some days it's 79. It goes up and down. And that's the key, because in nature, you're never going to get the same temperature every single day. I keep it that way. I'll put him in with the two girls, and I'll rotate them back and forth since I'm using two females. And then what I'll do is probably in 8 weeks, we'll start to raise the temperatures up and raise the humidity a little bit in the room, which is par for the course. So you really want to keep them cooled down for about 2 months. And that's usually enough to get the females going. And then, when the female starts sitting on that hot spot all the time, she's got eggs in her, okay? And that's when I take my boys out, because there's no reason for them to be there anymore. You'll know. They're basically, Burms are basically big ball pythons in a sense. You can treat them pretty similarly. Once again, the temperature to me is the key, but don't take away your hot spots, just to play it safe so you don't get your respiratory stuff going on. I guess you could drop them a little bit. Some people do different things. I just don't touch my hot spots ever. Never do it, and it seems to work fine. So, all right, let's get you in with some girls so you'll stop making a ruckus. All right, here's sister number 1. I have her listed as. You're gonna go in there now, buddy, big boy. You're gonna go in there. You're gonna hang out with your new girlfriend. Yeah, I got your boyfriend. He's a little angry. I don't know why. He's been blowing air all day. I think he went to hang out here with me. He's like, I don't want to go in there and hang out with her. I want to go hang out with you. You're going to believe me. You're going to want to hang out with her way more than you're going to want to hang out with me in a minute, once you realize what you're getting over there. So here we go. This is the beginning of the Burm season. Once again, a nice big 632 vision cage. Some sheds in there. I'm not gonna keep these cages too clean. Once again, that's another little trick. There's a couple of urine stains on the paper you have in here. Leave them. That's pheromones. That's gonna get this male all interested in this female, and make it much more likely for them to breed. At least I find. And now she's blowing some air, so you guys can blow some air together, some hot air, and have fun. So here we go. That's the beginning. That's the breed. That's it. We leave these guys together. I don't feed my Burms for the next 6 to 8 weeks. They have plenty of food. I've been feeding them up the last 2 months, feeding them pretty heavy. They got enough food now to last them. So, oh, look at this little boy. He's already climbing in the cage. He's loving it. He's climbing. Who said Burms are not arboreal? No, you got to stay in that cage, buddy. All right, we're gonna close it up. Here's a really cool granite paradox, Burmese Python from 2020. A little scared here. Freaking him out. Really nice. You can tell this is not a green. This is a granite that has paradoxing in it. This is what we call the enigma line of Burms. It's a genetically inheritable line of paradoxing that it happens. This is a male granite paradox that is inheritable. It's 66% head green albino. Here's a gorgeous, gorgeous hypogranate. This is one of my favorite combinations. Those are my breeding pair of male and females are hypogranates, 100% het albino greens. This is a hypogranate that's going to be 66% albino and green. So it's both parents were heads. Getting a little frisky there. She's putting on some good size. I'm telling you, I feed these guys small mice. As soon as you start feeding these guys are going to rocket up in growth. Look at those eyes. They're almost blue. Really nice looking combination, the hypo and the granite. I just always liked them. I always said, because I was an albino guy, and I'm like, these things look albino-ish almost. They're so nice. I mean, and it's a really good combination. Granite's really cool, and then you put the hypo gene in there. Obviously, 2 copies of a hypo gene in the Burms, you get a white snake. And we've produced a bunch of those ivories before. So this female is available. Just recently, I've shown you this beautiful green granite female that's also available. She's in shed right now. She's going in shed. She's got an exquisite grayish color. She's also got paradoxing in her. She's one of the, this snake I've been toiling with, deciding whether I should keep her or not, because I just think she's so interesting looking. She's obviously 66% het albino as well. She's got the jet black eyes. I just really like this snake a lot. I don't know what it is. I think whenever I get these urges to keep things, I think I should just follow my instincts, because she's so nice. Such a nice looking, weird, interesting pattern, and just exquisite, really. Here's a hypo granite male. So I have males and females available. I have a couple of them. So you guys can hit me up. This male is really interesting. A lot of granity pattern on him. Almost like a leopard skin. The great thing about these Burms is they're all like very individualistic and just a little different than each other. So every snake is a little different. I have all the Burms that are available for 2020 listed on my Morph Market page, so you can check it out there. This once again is from that hypo granite female I showed you before, and she'll be obviously being bred again this season. So these babies are really nice. If you want to get in on them, some Burm projects, they're really reasonably priced. And once again, these are all part of that Enigma line, which contain the paradoxing. It is genetic paradoxing, which means that it is inheritable. Most paradoxing is not inheritable. This line happens to be inheritable. And even if they don't show it, display it in this generation, they're carriers a lot of times of it. I don't know we don't really know what the genetics of it is. I think it could be recessive. I'm not really sure, but I've seen it in a couple of the females now and males that I've produced. And I don't really see it in the parents, so that's why I'm thinking maybe it's a genetically recessive trait that's coming out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed our little discussion of breeding Burms and how to get them ready for the breeding season and what to do. It's not really that hard. Nothing's really that hard once you know the right protocol, right? Although breeding olive python seems to be very hard. I haven't conquered that yet. This year will be hopefully the year I get them cool enough. But when it comes to Burms, around October, I start, cooling their temperatures down. Usually around October 31st, we say Halloween. They've been cooled now for the last couple of weeks. Now I'm going to start, introducing the males and the females and put them together and leave them together. The temperatures will continue to drop a little bit, but I keep them in that 75 to 79 degree ambient range. Once again, the ambient temperature being the most important thing. I keep hot spots. Some people do hot spot drops, meaning that at night the hot spot goes down 10 degrees or so. You can do it if you want. I just find that I like having the heat there. If they feel the need, immune system wise, to have to heat themselves up a little bit, they can do it. If they don't want to and they want to stay cool, they'll stay on the cooler side. I find that snakes intuitively know how to breed. We don't need to impose the conditions upon them. If the ambient temperatures in the room are low and they want to cool themselves down, they'll cool themselves down. Look at ball pythons. They wrap those water bowls, when they want to cool their bodies down, because a lot of times ball pythons are in smaller tubs. They can't maybe separate themselves, so they'll wrap those water bowls. It happens every time. You can see, when these snakes are trying to cool themselves. So these snakes intuitively know. You just create the conditions that enable them to do what they need to do, which is get their body temperatures down. I think that's the reason why maybe the olive pythons I haven't been successful with. Maybe I haven't gotten them cool enough where they can actually cool themselves to kind of hit that trigger and turn on that, that cycle of breeding. Some snakes don't need to be as cool. Some snakes need to get very cool. Diamond pythons need to get very cold. I haven't bred them yet. I'm not at that stage yet. Mine are still growing. Same thing with Brettles. I have my Brettles python in the cold room #1 in the lowest cage. I don't think I got her cool enough last year. I don't know. She might not have been old enough, but this year I'm going to bring her down. I'm going to try to get her down to in the 60s if we can do it. Remember, I'm in Florida here. I'm depending on air conditioning to do all this. I don't have outdoor enclosures, not yet. Tom Crutchfield and I have talked about that, possibly doing some outdoor enclosures. He might help me set me up properly, and we might do diamonds outside, maybe even olives outside enclosures to try to simulate, natural conditions. Tom seems to have very, very good success with breeding diamonds outside. He's also in South Florida, so that's a possibility. I'm thinking about doing that as well, but right now I have snake room 1, which is my cold Australian room, and we're going to try to get everything nice and cool in there. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm really good at answering questions and getting back to you. You can email me, you can call me on my cell phone. My numbers are all available all over the place. All right, you know what to do, guys. It's that time again. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, hit the like button. We'll see you back tomorrow morning.